Hey, welcome to News You Can Use. I'm your host, BG, and today we have an exclusive story about a mom from Mississauga who was shot by police on Mother's Day. The reason? Because the Peel police officer says she mistakenly thought she was using a taser and not a gun. Now, before we go any further, I do need you to do a few things like subscribing to this channel, tapping that notification bell, and make sure to follow us on all of our social media. The details, by the way, are in the description below. So the Peel police officer at the center of this is named Valerie Briffa. After the shooting, she was charged with criminal negligence, causing bodily harm, assault with a weapon, and careless use of a firearm. She actually ended up pleading guilty to just one of those charges. The other two were withdrawn. Now, the woman shot in this tragic story, well, her name is Chantelle Krupka. Fortunately, she is still alive, but she's here to share her truth on what went down on Mother's Day of last year and whether justice was actually served. Let's hear her story.
Let's get some answers. It's been how many months since DeAndre's family? It's been how many months since Regus's? And now 7 days for Ijaz and over a month for me? I don't know why that woman shot me. I don't even know her name. We need answers. Where's my answer? We need answers now. Y'all can't come kill our family and then just walk off scot-free.
Well, Chantelle, thanks so much for joining us here on News You Can Use.
Thank you for having me.
I know you have a story to tell, a story that involves police, which of course went totally left. So take me back to that day, Mother's Day 2020, because that's when it all began, correct?
I share custody of my son with my ex, and I wanted to see him on Mother's Day. It was just a day earlier than I was supposed to get him, but he was being spiteful, and so we ended up in a cussing match over text, really, you know. And a few weeks before, his family, who is Latino, they called me the N-word in front of my son. And I had brought that up in the text and said, you know, you call me this, how do you think you make your son feel? And I reminded them, there's a word for you too. And I used that word. And I believe that was the text that prompted them to call the police and claim that I was harassing them. But I stopped messaging after that. And it was almost 11 hours, or almost 12 hours later that the police showed up and called me.
To your door?
To my door. Okay. They showed up to my house and they called me from the outside.
And where are you living, by the way, here?
Mississauga.
You're in Mississauga.
Yeah, central, like close to Square One, you know. So they came and they told me to come outside. They demanded I come outside. And immediately the tone was threatening and the tone was bullying. And I said, for what? Am I being arrested? Is there a warrant? And then they said, nope. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not. And then the threats started coming in. Well, you have one of two options. You either come outside or we're going to...
So did they say when they came to your front door why they came?
Initially, no. Initially, no. And that's why I asked them, am I being arrested? Is there a warrant? Once he realized I knew my rights, he proceeded to issue a verbal warning, telling me that I need to keep conversations child-focused. Oh. And I said, okay. I mean, I didn't... I do that anyways, but I was yelling over him and he was yelling over me and he told me that and then he hung up. And as soon as he hung up, he turned a big spotlight on our house. And it was such a bright light, it shone all the way to the back of our house where we were. And I obviously felt even more threatened,
So this is the same night that this is happening?
Yeah, he hung up and immediately turned on that light.
Yeah.
And that's when I called dispatch. And I said, hey, you have an aggressive officer here who's making me feel uncomfortable. Can you please bring a supervisor? Yeah. And you know, she asked me what he wanted, and I said he wanted me to go outside, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. But she prompted me to. She said, go ahead and just talk to him. So I complied. And obviously I'm angry at this point. And I'm not gonna lie, I was yelling, you know, and I was saying you guys are bullies, and I was cussing and whatnot, but I said nothing threatening and I had no weapons. I was holding 2 phones in my hand. Mikey was out there with me.
Mikey is your?
Mikey is my partner.
Okay.
And you know, they approached in a very menacing and, again, still very threatening manner.
What about the most threatening?
Body language, you know, hands on the weapons immediately. You know, that's all you had to do is talk to us. Tone, like the tone, you know what I mean? You know, we straight up told them, you know, I know my rights. I don't have to talk to you. Get off my property. And they're, you know, the male cop, his name was Tyler Belmarina, his response was make me. I'm like, I'm not gonna make you. Yeah, like that was, they were looking for a fight. They were looking for it. The female officer, the one who actually shot me, as soon as she walked up, she took a defensive stance against my garage, kind of blocking her body with my garage. So it just felt like a setup, you know? And Tyler escalated it, you know, to him finally saying to Mikey, you know, go inside, and then immediately tasing him. And
So your partner got tased that night?
Yes, yeah. He was the first to get hit. And when I saw this 6'3", 250-pound man drop, I turned and I run because I was scared. And as I turned to run, I looked back, and the last thing I saw behind me was Tyler turning his taser to me, his taser gun, the same one he just shot Mikey with. When he shot me, it threw me onto my porch. I was laid out, but it hurt. I thought that was gonna kill me. So I reached behind to grab the cord out, and I pulled it out, and that's when I reached for Mikey's. And at this point, I'm flat on my back. But as soon as I reached out for him, that's when I got shot. That's when I felt it. Before I even heard the gun, I felt it. And it felt like I got hit by a train. And I was shocked. So shocked that it calmed me in a sense. It hurt a lot less than the taser immediately. And I locked eyes with her, and I asked her why she shot me. And I said, what did I do, you know? And she didn't say anything. She was quiet. She then came to my side to try to, I don't know what. She didn't even say anything then. Tyler, the guy, mounted me. I told him to get off me repeatedly, and he wouldn't. And then next thing you know, within seconds, the supervisor was there telling them to get off me, you know, and telling people they're gonna go into my house. And I said, don't, but he ignored me. And a couple more seconds, and the ambulance was there, and so was the SIU. And the SIU was questioning me as to what happened and if I had any phones or whatever, and I showed them, and I was whisked off to the hospital with a police officer, of course, in the ambulance, who wasn't allowing the paramedics to render aid, but she was taking the lead on doing that, which I thought was weird. And yeah, I ended up in the hospital, in emergency surgery, fighting for my life.
Where did they shoot you? Like, where did you get shot?
Right in my pelvic region, and it went into my hip. So it was a .40 caliber hollow tip, and as you know, hollow tips, they break apart, and so some of the fragments ended up in my hip, and that's what broke that. But it was basically, in my my pelvic area.
Is that why I know you have a cane?
Yeah, I can't walk without my cane now.
At which point, in your point of view, do you believe it went left?
When they showed up at my house.
That was
they
the
didn't. Yeah, they didn't need to. I hadn't broken any laws, and I was
Yeah.
obviously upset that I didn't get to see my son on Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I had stopped texting for almost 12 hours. What were they there for? You know, and I think anybody would be upset if police show up at your house after a day like that. They were looking for a fight. Why? Because they know they can get away with it. And they know that people will cover for them, people will lie for them, and the system is built to protect them.
So I want to talk about that
Yeah.
because I know that this case was in the courts.
Yes.
So how did that all unfold?
So Valerie Briffa, the woman who shot me, just had, I guess, pleadings and sentencing on November 12th. And she pled guilty to the lowest charge. She was charged with criminal negligence, I believe assault causing bodily harm, and careless discharge of a firearm. And that last charge is the one that she pled to, which is a slap on the wrist. And when she pled, they shared a statement of agreed facts and lied in that, and she claimed that I stood up after I was tased, and that she thought that she was tasing me, not shooting me. And you know,
Wait, she said she thought she was using her taser, not her
yes,
gun?
she thought she was using her taser. Yeah, and she claimed she didn't realize until she shot me that it was her gun. She even claimed to had unholstered it before that and reholstered it, and then went to draw a weapon again. So if you just drew that weapon, I mean, you know where it was, right? And then the claim that I stood up after being tased is just ridiculous. I thought that was gonna dead me. Like, I did not stand up. And just when I heard that, I was in the courtroom and I couldn't even take it anymore. It was just a few minutes in. I'm like, you guys are really lying like this? Like, I can't believe it. And we ended up walking out the courtroom, but hearing later over Zoom that she pled and then got off on a conditional discharge. So after 18 months probation, her record will be clear and she could become a police officer again. She had quit the force shortly after the incident, but obviously she was coached to do that so that she would, you know, get this outcome.
Did she ever acknowledge you during the court case? Did she ever offer up some sort of an apology
Yeah, well, just like I was asked to write a victim impact statement, she was told to write a letter to the courts and to me. So there was an apology letter that she read out to me. She did make eye contact with me and, was denying what I was saying as I was leaving the courtroom, saying I wasn't standing up. She was still lying. And so later when I heard that apology letter, it obviously meant nothing to me, because if you really were sorry, you'd be telling the truth.
The fact that she did, plead guilty to at least one of the charges, I believe it's one of the first times a police officer has done that.
Yeah.
Does that bring you any source of, I don't want to say comfort, but like that maybe that this could push the boundary a little bit further?
I think at first it did for a second. I thought maybe this is good.
Right.
Valerie even reached out and wanted to talk to me.
She did?
One-on-one, yeah, with her mom. But I have a very strong intuition, and my intuition told me that it was more for her good than my own.
Well, I want to ask you, I mean, do you feel like she did that because she truly feels guilty for what she did?
Oh yeah, she knows she messed up. However, she's not being fully transparent. And as to what the mistake was, it wasn't mistaking her, her gun for her taser. It was maybe following the lead of a supervisor who was trying to set up to catch a body.
What do you tell your son when he gets older? What story are you going to tell him about?
My son is 11 years old, and he knows.
Does he know about this?
Absolutely. He's been with us at protests, and I told him exactly what it is. When you're Black, this system is built to keep you down. I taught him about oppression, and I taught him that this wouldn't have happened if I were white, and I strongly believe that, and I taught him that this is something that we have to stand up against and we have to fight against, and just taught him that this is a fight that continues.
Have you found healing in this situation? Or do you think you'll ever find healing?
I'm still a long ways away.
Yeah.
I'm still in a lot of pain physically, and of course emotionally and mentally. I still wake up and cannot believe that I got shot.
In your perfect world, if you were to get justice, what would justice look like for you?
She shouldn't be a police officer.
Okay.
She shouldn't be allowed to be a police officer again. She should have been charged with attempted murder, just like any of us would have. If that were me or you or anybody else in this room, that would have been an attempted murder charge, and she would have done time. And if the justice system was fair, that's what would have happened.
If there's one thing you could say to her now, knowing how your life has dramatically changed since that day, what would you say to her?
I would tell her that I'm disappointed. Not even so much in what she had done that night, because we all make mistakes, but in the fact that she lied afterwards. And I've let her know that I see right through her, and I see right through all those volunteer hours and all those accolades, that the courts used to help deem her this wonderful person that wasn't deserving of any punishment. I see right through all of that because I saw the true her that night, and she didn't have to pull a weapon on me. I did nothing wrong, and I still nearly lost my life. And even when we do comply, we still get hurt, and that's hurtful, and...
Why? Why is that hurtful?
Because I didn't do anything. And why am I being blamed? That's victim blaming, right? And we wouldn't do that to a white woman who was sexually harassed. And so why are we doing it to a Black woman who nearly lost her life? And the reason why that's done is because the media has given us this idea that the police are heroes and they don't do anything wrong. And if you got hurt by them, you did something to deserve that. And that many, many, many times is not the case. And so I want that truth to be heard.
Chantelle, thank you.
Thank
you for sharing your story. I'm gonna wish you that you find the peace in this situation, however long it takes. But again, thank you so much for your courage to share your truth.
Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Hey BG Squad, thanks so much for checking out our channel, and listen to this, we have more great content for you, like this video right here and this video right here. By the way, don't forget to subscribe to this channel right now and tap that notification bell.